Ngayon magsasagot naman tayo ng mga identities or yung tinatawag na proving identity sa trigonometry. Ito yung isa sa mga pinaka-challenging na problems na sagutan sa trigonometry dahil kailangan nito ng mastery ng Pythagorean identities at saka ng reciprocal identities at ng mga common identities na ginagamit natin sa trigonometry. So, mahalaga na at this point, alam nyo na yung mga basic trig identities like yung secant ay 1 over cosine and so on. So, yun yung mga kailangan yung malaman para mas madali nyo maintindihan yung pagsagot ng trig identities. Kasi ang trig or proving identities, ito ay combination ng mastery nyo sa factoring at saka pag-simplify ng mga rational expressions at saka yung mastery nyo dito sa mga identities or formula sa trigonometry. So, umpisahan natin yung ating problem sa pagsagot sa problem number 1, which is secant x minus tan x and sin x. Now, from the basic rule, kailangan lang natin na yung left side ay equal sa right side, and usually, ang mas complicated na part or side ng equation, yun yung ginagalaw natin at yun yung minomodify natin para gawin natin siyang simplified version ng ating trig function. So, let's start with number 1. So, in this case, I have secant x so, kailangan siya maging equal sa 1 over secant x or yung simplest form niya is cosine x. So, in this case, what I'm going to do is change ko si tangent x. So, meron ako ditong 1 over cosine x minus sin x over cosine x times sin x. At dito, pwede kong i-combine itong fraction na to para maging isa. So, I'll have 1 minus cosine x minus sin x times sin x is sin squared x all over cosine x. And since parehas sila ng denominator, I can simplify this by adding them or subtracting them. So I have 1 minus sin squared x all over cosine x. So, since parehas ng denominator, copy the denominator and subtract the numerator. At alam natin yung 1 minus sin squared ay equal sa cosine squared dahil iyan yun sa ating identity, Pythagorean. So, I have cosine squared x all over cosine x. And pwede ako mag-cancel ng cosine x at matitira na lang sa akin ay isang cosine x. At alam natin na yung 1 over secant ay equal sa cosine x. And that's the end of our proof for problem number 1. So, problem number 2 naman, we have 1 plus cosine x so, in this case, ang isi-simplify ko ay itong side na ito. So, pwede ko siyang paghiwalayin. Pwede ko siyang gawing and by doing so, alam natin na yung inverse ng yung 1 over sin x ay cosecant x. At yung cosine x over sin x ay cotangent x. So, parehas na sila. End of proof. So, sa proving identities, kailangan talaga yung mastery nyo sa algebra at pag-manipulate ng inyong mga rational expression. In this case, yung ating rational expressions ay in form of sine and cosine. So, practice lang at saka, syempre, kailangan alam nyo na yung trig identities nyo para mas madali ang pagsagot ng trig identities. So, nakukuha lang siya sa practice. Now, so problem number 3, meron tayong secant theta sin theta all over equals So, obviously, kailangan nating i-simplify yung side na to. So, ang gagawin natin, si secant theta at si sin theta, iiwan muna natin siya. Dahil alam natin yung tan and cotangent, pwede natin siyang i-change into its sine and cosine function. So, tangent theta is sine over cosine plus cosine all over sine. At pag in-add natin sila, multiply natin to, and multiply natin to. So we have sine squared theta. And at this point, meron tayong identity. At ito yung ating denominator. Now, yung numerator natin kanina, secant theta, sin theta, i-divide natin siya dun sa bago natin denominator. And by dividing it, pwede natin kopyahin yung numerator. So, meron tayong secant theta, sin theta, multiplied by the reciprocal, which is simply cosine theta times sine theta. Now, in this case, pwede natin i-modify si secant at i-change natin siya sa 1 over cosine theta. And kopyahin lang natin yung mga function. At dito, pwede natin i-cancel si cosine at pagsamahin si sine. So, meron tayo ngayong sine squared theta, which is equal to our identity. So, ito yung problem number 3. And sa problem number 4 naman, meron tayong secant beta, cosine, cotangent. So, medyo komplikado yung ating function. So, isi-simplify natin yung side na ito. At using the formula, again, yung A over B minus C over D. We have AD minus CD all over B times D. So, ito yung gagawin natin to simplify the rational expression. So, we have and simplify natin yung numerator. So, secant is 1 over cosine. Cotangent is cosine all over sine. Tangent is sine all over cosine. And cosine. And in this case, we can cancel this and we have 1 over sine minus cancel this and we have sine beta. So, ito yung ating denominator. So, numerator. Yung denominator, hindi pa natin nasi-simplify, pero gawin natin, pagsamahin natin to by subtracting them again. So, over 1. So, 1 times 1. So, tulad nito, gagamitin uli natin siya. So, meron tayong 1 minus sine squared beta. Sine times 1 is sine beta. At yung 1 minus sine squared beta, alam natin, ito ay cosine squared. So, ito ngayon, yung ating simplest form ng numerator. Now, i-divide natin siya dito sa ating denominator. So, meron tayo ngayon. So, ilipat natin dito. So, meron tayong cosine squared beta all over sine beta divided by cosine beta times cotangent beta. So, yung ating rational expression, pwede natin siyang i-divide. So, kokopyahin natin yung numerator, cosine squared. And then, divide by the reciprocal ng denominator, which is 1 over cosine times cotangent. So, in this case, pwede natin makancel ito. At ito, may matitira tayong isang cosine. At alam natin, si cosine at si sine multiplied by 1 over cotangent. So si cosine all over sine ay cotangent multiplied by 1 over cotangent beta. So by multiplying them, we can cancel this, and it's equal to 1, which is equal to our equation. So end of proof. So yan yung problem number 4 at yung problem number 5. So sa problem number 5 naman, meron tayong cosine squared y equals 1 minus 2 sine squared y. So in this case, yung cosine squared y minus sine squared y, hindi siya identity. So what we can do is i-change natin yung isa sa mga identity. So in this case, I'll change cosine squared y into its other version, which is 1 minus sine squared theta. So this becomes 1 minus sine squared y. At pag kinopya ko ito, papansin nyo na pwede kong i-combine yung like terms. So I'll have 1 minus 2, which is the same as this. So tapos na yung trabaho natin dito sa number 5. So sometimes may mga identity na matagal gawin. Sometimes may mga identity na simple lang tapusin. So yung problem number 6, tingnan natin kung simple rin lang siya. So 6, we have cosecant squared x times tangent squared x minus 1 tan squared x. So in this case, pwede natin siyang baguhin into its sine and cosine version. 1 over cosecant is, cosecant is 1 over sine. At si tangent is, so in this case, pwede kong i-cancel to. So meron akong 1 over cosine squared x minus 1. At kailangan ko siyang maging equal sa tangent squared x. So what I'm going to do is add it to 1. So yung 1, gawa tayo ng same denominator. So si 1 pwede natin i-modify into cosine squared x all over cosine squared x, which is equal to 1 minus 1 over cosine squared x. And by doing so, pwede natin i-subtract to. So since same yung denominator, add lang natin yung numerator, 1 minus cosine squared x. So always remember, kapag ang fraction nyo parehas ng denominator, it's always easier to simplify kasi kokopyahin lang natin yung denominator. So in this case, alam natin si 1 minus cosine squared ay equal sa sine squared. So meron tayong sine squared x all over cosine squared x. At alam natin ni sine squared x all over cosine x, cosine squared x ay equal sa tangent squared x, which is equal to the identity. Therefore, tapos na natin si problem number 6. And si problem number 7, meron ulit tayo dito rational expression na pwede nating i-combine. Tangent alpha, secant alpha, plus cotangent alpha, cosecant alpha. And it needs to equal to sine alpha plus cosine alpha. So, combine ulit natin tong mas complicated na fraction times plus all over So, isi-simplify ko uli yung numerator. So, si tangent natin, pwede natin siyang baguhin into its sine multiplied by 1 over sine plus cosine all over sine times 1 over cosine all over this. So, lagay lang natin yung placeholder niya. So, makancel siya. Makancel to. So, meron tayo ngayong 1 over cosine alpha plus 1 over sine alpha all over the denominator, which is secant alpha times cosecant alpha. Now, alam natin si 1 over cosine ay secant at si 1 over sine ay cosecant. Now, para mas madali nyo matandaan, si C, ang inverse niya is S, so secant. Si S, ang inverse niya ay C, cosecant. So, dun ko siya na-visualize para mas mabilis. So, I have secant alpha, cosecant alpha, which I can separate kasi iisa lang yung denominator. So, pag sineparate natin to, meron tayong secant alpha times cosecant alpha plus cosecant alpha all over secant alpha times cosecant alpha. Pangit nung alpha ko. Pasensya na. So, ito, makakancel ko siya. So, I have 1 over cosecant alpha plus cancel 1 all over secant alpha. At si 1 over cosecant is si sine. At si 1 over secant ay si cosine, which is equal to this side. So, end of proof for problem number 7. At si last problem natin, number 8, we have sine x, cosine x, tan x plus cotangent x equal to secant x plus cosecant x. So, in this problem, pagko-combine natin siya by multiplication. So, by foiling it, sine x and tan x, sine x and cotangent x, so in this case, pwede nating i-simplify ang mga ito. So, ito, at ito. So, we have sine x times sine x, cosine x. This one is sine x times cosine x all over sine x, cosine x times sine x, cosine x times cosine x all over sine x. So, in this case, makakancel natin to. At ito, dito wala tayong makakancel. So, pwede nating i-combine. So, meron tayong sine squared x all over cosine x. Kasi, sine times sine is sine squared x. 1 times cosine x is cosine x. Plus cosine x plus sine x plus cosine squared x all over sine x. Kasi cosine is squared. And then sine x. And then at this point, pwede nating igrupo yung mga identities. Tingnan natin kung masisimplify natin siya. So, i-group natin to. I-group natin siya. And then let's simplify it by combining them by rule of rational expression. So, meron tayong 1 times sine squared x, cosine squared x all over cosine x plus this, so sine squared x plus cosine squared x sine x. And alam natin ito ay equal sa 1. dahil Pythagorean identity, at ito ay equal sa 1. And ang inverse ng 1 over cosine is secant. At ang inverse nito ay cosecant, which is the same as this. I'm sorry. Yan. So, sa pagsagot ng Pythagorean identities, again, kailangan master nyo na yung basic identities para mas madali mag-formulate ng mga expression or equations sa utak nyo. Tsaka alam nyo dapat yung addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of fractions or rational expressions. At syempre yung factoring. So, kung meron kayong natutunan sa video na ito, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.